Well, hello and welcome. My name is Velma. You can connect with me at velmanolds.com. This is all about your leadership chat. What does that mean? You get to listen in on valuable insights from valuable leaders just like you. I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. And if this is of value to you, please share the nuggets that you're going to take away from all these great leaders. Hey, please give a big welcome to my special guest and your valuable leader, Peter Folch. Hey, Pete, thanks for joining me today on your leadership chat.
Well, hello, Velma. Thank you for having me be on your leadership chat. And thank you, those listening in and watching. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Appreciate the opportunity today.
Oh man, and so we were talking before we started the recording about are you actually home? Because you are a
Yeah.
jet setter, uh, traveling, speaking everywhere, Pete, but you are home. Where's home for
Yes.
you?
Home for me is Orlando, Florida.
Orlando.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're on the opposite side of the state of Florida, but we're in the same
Yeah.
state.
Right.
Well, Pete, I know a little bit about you, but I'd love for you to share with the audience a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you again, Velma. Yeah. As I always like to begin, first of all, most of all, my name is Pete Folch. I am the husband of a beautiful gal named Lisa and the proud daddy of Isaac and Tessa and our son-in-law,
Wow.
Eduardo, and our two grandkids, Noelle and
Right.
Leonardo. But professionally, most of my background has been in restaurants and hospitality. For most of my life,
Yeah.
that is the industry that I've been in.
Right.
And I've worked in the operations and leadership of restaurants and multiple restaurants and such at various levels of quick service and casual dining, etc. Ended up going back to school and getting my master's in human resource development and continuing with restaurants and joined Darden Restaurants.
Mm.
And Darden has multiple brands. And one of the brand that I was with the most of those 22 and a half years with Darden was with Olive Garden.
Yes.
And an event or a project that really kind of defined who I was or
Hmm.
defined my heartbeat was
Right.
Olive Garden had a project called Revitalia back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And it
Right.
was the largest project in the history of Olive Garden. It was
Nice.
Revitalia was called the Italian revitalization of
Wow.
Olive Garden. And so the revitalization had two major
Hmm.
parts. The revitalization of our buildings physically, the remodel
Right.
of our restaurants, new furnitures, new fixtures, new plateware, that kind of thing. But we also wanted to revitalize the spirit and energy of our teams. We want to
Mm.
re-engage our teams. So
Yeah.
for 4 years, my single focus was to focused on re-energizing some 55,000 employees across 400 plus restaurants throughout the US and Canada.
Yeah.
And it was after that project that really defined my heartbeat for wanting to engage teams and help
Yeah.
leaders do a better job of engaging and keeping their teams energized.
Yeah.
So back in 2014, I started my own. I ventured out, left Darden, and ventured out and started my own business called Second Wind Finish Strong. And it's leadership training. It is through public speaking, keynote speaking, through workshops, through
Yeah.
coaching. But the whole theme with Second Wind Finish Strong is that second wind of re-engaging, re-energizing, getting
Right.
that new passion and inspiration for what you do, but also to finish strong, sustaining it, because I never want any kind of initiative to be a one-time meeting, one-time event. We're
Yeah.
excited, yes, and then the next day or the next week later, it's like something it never happened. You're kind of back to same old, same old. So
Right.
that kind of in a nutshell is kind of what brought me that's who I am today with leading Second Wind Finish Strong.
Wow, that's beautiful. And you speaking of win or finish strong, because I think they kind of both go together.
Yeah.
You're a marathon runner.
Uh, yes,
Come on, come on.
yes, I am. I am a runner. I'm not a fast runner, but
That's
I'm a back
okay.
of the pack finisher.
You
But yeah,
finish strong.
I've run 30 marathons, done 10 ultra distance marathons,
Wow.
and I've had the blessing of coaching over 50 others to run their first half or full distance marathon. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a physical component to Second Wind Finish Strong, and then obviously there's the leadership component in the professional side of things. So
Yeah, yeah. I love that when I read about how you are, what I called finish strong in the race that you were running all the time.
yes,
I was like, man, this guy is just really having a second wind. I mean, you're just making, strides. I had no idea how many marathons that you had accomplished so far, right?
yes.
So I know there's more on your list. Well, the show, we talk about valuable leaders, people in our lives that have made a tremendous impact. And I'm sure that you've had time to think about this and probably said, I can't just give you one name.
Yeah.
So you have a little wiggle room there if you need it. But I would love for you to share. My first question, Pete, is, can you share with us who's a valuable leader in your life and why would you say that about that person?
Yeah, great question, Velma. And yes, I have throughout my career, throughout my life, have had wonderful leaders I've worked with, worked for, the
Right.
folks that have mentored me. The one that I'd like to highlight today, this morning, is a former pastor of our campus church. His name is Mike Shirley.
Mm,
He's now a pastor at our main church because we go to a satellite church of the main church here in Orlando's Discovery Church. But Mike was the campus pastor for many years,
hmm.
and our church is very big on connection and community and
Right.
finding a group to be a part of, and so many of those groups are defined by age or by
Yeah.
a stage of life that you're in. And I had an idea 14 years ago of
Hmm.
starting a running and walking group. Okay, just and so I came to Mike and I sat down and I said, "What do you think? This is kind of maybe outside the box in terms of the traditional thought of a connection group and
Yeah.
whatnot." And he was all for it. Yeah, that's a great idea, and he really encouraged me. And
Hmm.
even before approaching Mike, he had been integral in our family in terms of
Sure.
his leadership and his character, his integrity, his
Yeah.
planting and
Wow.
investing in us. And
Yeah.
so, as I started this group 14 years ago, this was before I started my business. 14 years ago, I still have the group going today. We have
Hmm.
folks not just from our own church, but from other churches involved with our group. We have folks that now are taking on their first mile, first
Mm.
5K, first 10K, and then we've have other folks that have run half marathons and full marathons,
Right.
including I've trained Mike several
Okay.
years ago to run his first half marathon. But
Right.
what I appreciate about Mike in terms of being a valuable leader to me is just its constant encouragement. And as
Mm.
I'd send notices and communications out to the group, he'd be
Right.
copy on it. He'd always copy me back or respond back by saying, "Hey, I appreciate your leadership. Keep doing what you're doing. I believe in what we're doing." And so, it's affecting me today because I talk about redefining the possible, trying new things, trying things that maybe you didn't think were possible. And here's an idea 14 years ago that he said, "You know what? I think this could work." And
Right.
it's had a tremendous impact on so many people in running and outside of running.
Oh, my goodness. And it's interesting you said too, I was writing down that your business is 7 years or so, but that you've been really talking about helping people finish strong. I'll use that kind
Yes.
of getting their second win, finishing strong, believing
Mhm.
in something they could do. When you
Right.
started with your community, small group, if and I say small
Yep.
group, but you
Right.
know the connotation there could be a big group, but the just the cohort that you have focused on walking and running and then helping people to find that second win and to finish strong even before your business started. How beautiful.
Abs-
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
That is,
Tremendous impact.
yeah, no, I love that story about Mike. He definitely, through encouragement. And I truly believe that that's underrated and just in
Uh,
life, encouraging people along the journey because we talk about the word leader and we talk about being a leader. But, I love the fact that when you are a cheer leader, in
Mhm.
the sense of cheering people on, rooting for their success, encouraging them on the journey, right? Because the journey is, as you know, right, not a straight line.
Mhm.
It's that encouraging leader that makes the difference, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a quote from Zig Ziglar many years. I've got many
Yeah.
quotes from Zig Ziglar actually,
Right,
but
right, right, right.
one of the great quotes that I continue to remind myself, remind others is a
Yeah.
lot of people have gone further than they ever thought they could because somebody else thought they could. And so
Beautiful.
it just because we every one of us needs someone to as you mentioned, Velma, be a cheerleader,
Hmm.
and not and be someone that genuinely cares and
Yeah.
genuinely wants to invest and help and support you. And
Hmm.
again, Mike was that valuable leader in my life. I've had other valuable leaders the same way, and that's
Yeah.
part of how I coach my marathoners and my whether they're running a marathon, whatever distance they're running.
Right.
Um, and it's not about necessarily, I mean, I've got technical things I can share about how to prepare for a race, how to complete
Sure.
your distance, but a lot of it is encouragement. Along with I support my runners. A lot of my first time marathoners, I'll actually run and train with them side by
Wow.
side.
Right,
And
right.
um, so it makes a big difference.
I love that. And I love that Zig quote. Thank you for that. That's it's so true that and I talk about this in coaching clients. I find that, and you probably find it too, that they borrow your confidence and your belief until they can get their own, until they can find their own and say,
Yes.
yes, I can, and I will. So I love that fact that you use Zig Ziglar, and a quote about people sometimes just need someone to believe in them.
Mhm.
That hope that
Yep.
there's something better for me, or that I can do something I didn't think I could. So
Right.
wow, what a great credit to Mike, your valuable leader,
Yeah.
and I hope he gets a chance to hear that little snippet, if
Yes.
nothing else.
Yes.
So Pete, you know what it is to be a valuable leader, and you mentioned you have others along your journey, and Mike certainly has made such an impression, and you've trickled that on to others, paid it forward. So my second question is around how are you paying it forward so that other people, could see that they are a valuable leader too, whether, and and we probably share this, leadership is, not just in business, leadership is in life. It's how are you leading your life? And that trickles into work or into your community, your church, into across the board, your whole life.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I work is one part of the life. It's not your whole life. So
Right.
tell us, how do you pay it forward? I would love to hear your story.
Great question. And again, as I touched on a little bit before, I love investing in the growth and
Mm,
development of others, and that's
right,
a part of when I speak or part of when I'm teaching or training,
right,
whether it's a business group, whether it's a church group, whatever the group is, nonprofit,
right.
school group, um, again, is helping people discover who they are, discover their
Hmm.
passion, discover their
Yeah,
purpose.
right.
And part of staying engaged, part of staying on track with who you are is knowing your purpose, knowing how you're gifted, and
Mm,
um, and bringing out those gifts and encouraging those gifts. And some
right.
people, for whatever reason, may have given up. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm not going to try anymore. I've failed too many times, and what
Hmm.
I love to do is help them say, you know what? I still see possibilities. There's you,
Yes.
your life is not without purpose,
Mm,
and so I believe there's still more music inside. If you can borrow that
love that.
that
Yeah.
phrase there, but I find oftentimes
Right.
when I do the training, and I love to have conversations, obviously in the dialogue in class and
Hmm.
outside of class. And I find,
Sure.
Velma, there are a lot of people out there starving for a word of encouragement,
Yeah.
and someone to even say a thank you. I
Mm,
appreciate what you did.
yeah.
And so So part of my paying it forward is whether it's in a class, it's speaking, but even outside, it's not even have to be in a professional setting. But
Hmm.
because none of what I do with my running ministry, that's all my investment in other folks.
Right.
Um, is paying it forward is again helping them um, to see what's inside, to see the gold
Mm.
they have inside of them, and try to bring that gold out from them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Some of my greatest moments have been crossing the finish line with someone who is in tears. Maybe I'm in tears also with them as they cross the finish line and says,
Sure.
I didn't think I could do this.
Yeah.
A year
Hmm.
ago, 6 months ago, I didn't even
Right.
think this was possible. And
Wow.
so that's part of my paying it forward as a leader, is investing in other leaders, so
Yes.
they can invest in other leaders. So
Hmm. Yeah, no, and I love that. And the fact that you also talked about, just again, giving people that belief that they can do things. I think it's underrated, but I think it's so valuable as part of what we could all do. It's free. I
yeah,
mean, it's not even, it doesn't cost you anything but your time in someone, but it has such a huge return on the investment that you make. And like you said, simple words like, please and thank you and I appreciate you or great job, well done. Those small bite-sized words, a huge encouragement to help someone along the journey, to appreciate their own gifts. And you
absolutely.
you were going to say, yeah.
Well, and there's an old proverb out there that says something. It says it's expressed it this way. It says the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
The power and life and death in the tongue. And really, what that means is, if we're not careful and we're reckless with our words as a leader, we
Right.
might say something or do something that discourages someone.
Right.
On the other hand, if we're very intentional and we're very positive and purposeful with our words and our expressions and how we behave as a leader, we can express words that build life, that open up life, that inspire life in somebody else, that can inspire energy in them, to
Mm-hmm.
reignite their purpose, to reignite their inspiration and motivation.
Right. I know this is off script, but I feel I could go there with you. So, because you know how to handle an audience. But you mentioned the word purpose several times, and I would
Mm-hmm.
love for you to just expand a little bit more on purpose, as it relates to leadership and life. What does that mean for Pete when you say purpose?
What that means is, my life is not an accident, and neither is your life an accident. And again, not to take this to a heavy faith base, but again, we've been
Mhm.
created,
Right.
and we have, where there's a specific design on our life.
Hmm.
And so I know that I have been called to run a race, if I could use the word run a race.
Right.
And that race is more than just the running of the race. It's more running a physical race. It is how I live my life. I've
Right.
got purpose as a father. I've got purpose as a husband. I've got purpose as a business leader. I've got purpose in my church. And so there's meaning and significance to my life, and there's meaning and significance to your life.
Hmm.
And what I've been charged to do, my purpose may not be exactly the same as your purpose.
Right.
I do believe, in a general sense, we all have the purpose of blessing one another. We
Right.
all have the purpose of helping one another, and loving one another and extending grace to one another. So we have that general purpose, if you will, to
Hmm.
bless and help other people, but specific purpose. And again, I would encourage those who say, I'm not sure what my purpose is.
Right.
Um, Find a good coach, find someone that can help you with asking the right questions.
Yeah.
There are tests out there that kind of help you discover what your gifting is and what
Hmm.
you're really good at. Plus, again, examine your own heart, because
Yes.
we all know those things that kind of get our heartbeat going.
Right.
And I heard someone say, "Hey, if you wake up consistently every day thinking about X or thinking about doing this, chances are that's what you've been designed to do. That's your
Right.
purpose, to do
Right.
X." whatever that
Hmm.
might be. And some of us are great with finances and accounting and technical stuff. Some of us are good with the art and the music or whatever. I mean, so again, I've tried to do
Right.
that as a parent as best I can. Have not been perfect, but trying to again bring out those gifts and help people discover their purpose.
Oh, I love that. Yes, and the fact that you were very specific about, you have purpose as a business leader, you have purpose as a husband or as a wife, the spouse, right? You have purpose as a sibling. You
Right.
you have purpose in your church or your
Mhm.
community. So we are all, I agree. I love the word created. We are created with a purpose, and as
Yes,
long as you're here you still got work to do,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
And you've got that purpose to do it. Thank you for going down that road with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I love to get your thoughts on it because I'm just interested in your way of thinking too. So my third question, Pete, you're doing really, really well. That's my encouragement to you. You
Oh,
are
thank
doing
you.
excellent here, and wholeheartedly, I believe that. But my third question is around people are listening in and they're maybe meeting you for the first time and they're like, great, Pete's got Mike in his life and other people that have really paved the way to help him know his value and to be appreciated and encouraged him along the way. And he's paying that forward in his space, either in business or in your community, in your church. So the question that people love to hear is, well, what's in it for me? Could you give me one big takeaway, Pete, that you would say, for those listening in, if I could tell you one thing, I would tell you this about how to find value as a leader in your work and in your life. What would that be?
Great, great question, Velma. I would say one big takeaway for those listening, for those leaders out there, and I go back to John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspire others to
Mm,
dream more, to learn more,
mm,
to do more, to become more, then you are a leader.
mm,
And one of the things that quote reminds me of, and I'm reminded of just about every day, is
yeah.
that people are watching.
Mm,
People are watching. And so as a leader, really you're always leading. Are you leading in terms of setting a positive example
right.
or maybe a not so positive example? But
Sure.
as I live my life, whether I'm around my kids, whether I'm around youth at the park nearby playing basketball, whether I'm at
Yeah.
the grocery store, I'm leading because people are
Right.
watching.
Hmm.
People are watching my wife and I as we've been married almost 36 years. So people
Wow.
are watching, married couples are watching, oh, here's this couple that's been married that long a time. What are they doing? And so I've,
Hmm.
I've had instances where people have come up to me later and says, you know what, we were kind of watching you guys. We were kind of, so I get reminders often about how much my model is being and not that I've done it perfect. This is not to say,
Right.
that being a leader, you have to, we all have days where we fall short,
Sure.
and we all have challenges that we go through.
Hmm.
And so what I want to remind leaders of, obviously, we need to forgive ourselves too on those days it didn't go
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, because some days we say, oh, I wish I could redo that one. I wish I could have had a chance to have that conversation again.
Right.
And we've all been there. But again, one of the biggest takeaways as leaders just that, and so therefore, what the application is I have to be intentional to
Mm.
make sure that I am, at all times being the right person, being the right role model. And part of that too is how I start my day.
Yeah.
In terms of, I start my day positive. I start my day with a devotion. I start my
Hmm.
day with self declarations of who I am and where I'm going. And I
Mm.
really believe in that. That's part of what I teach. I teach on making those self declarations, those positive affirmations about who you are and
Right.
where you're going. Not that you have it all together today, but you
Right.
know what? This is the direction I'm going. This is where I plan on, this is who I plan on being.
Right.
And so I think as a leader, if you wake up and with intentionality, knowing that
Yeah.
I may not know all the influence I had today,
Sure.
as I live my life, as I go about my business, as I coach, as I speak. I may not know all of the influence I've had on other
Right.
people, but I want to make sure that as much as I'm aware, I can be intentional about being a good model, being a good example,
Mm.
and inspiring people with my life. Because it's one thing to say things, it's another thing to live the life.
Mm.
And I've heard that from my runners. As part of the training is you ran with me, so it's just,
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah. Oh man, that's a strong nugget right there. It's, you ran with me. It's and that's what real leaders do. They don't just say, "Hey, head over there," or they're like, "I'll go there, you come behind me," kind of. They're like shoulder to shoulder. They run with you, they walk with you. And that way when you fall or when they fall, you're
yeah,
next to each other to pick each other up. I mean, how do you help someone if you're way ahead of them? How can you
right.
help them if they fall or if you're way behind? It's that you run with me. I love that quote. That's your quote. We tweet that one or whatever they do now. Exit. I don't know. They keep changing social media, but that's a very powerful nugget right there. I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Run with me. Love it. Okay. So you're on the home stretch. We're going to finish strong here.
That's
Folks
right.
will can't keep you to myself. Folks will want to know how they could reach out to you, connect with you, learn more about you. So will you share with the listeners how they could follow you, connect with you, find you, or learn more about what you have to offer?
Well, thank you again, Velma, for
My pleasure.
having me on this leadership chat today. I appreciate that. And I appreciate again the listeners.
Problem.
Ways that you can get a hold of me. I have a website, secondwindfinishstrong.com. And so that's one of the ways you can get a hold of me. One of the things I put on the website that at the very end you have it's called resources. There's a tab that says resources, and I have something called Second Wind Radio.
Mhm.
I have 60 messages that are 1 minute messages on how to come back. It's called the Spirit of the Comeback, and so that you can
Oh,
resource
okay.
that, forward those on to whoever you want to. I mean, whatever. But that's my part of my website. Little nugget there on my website, Second Wind Finish Strong. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So if you look up Peter Folch or Pete Folch, you'll find me there. I'm also on Facebook, and of course I can be reached. I can my cell phone. Actually, my email. Actually, I'll give you my email. It's Pete at secondwindfinishstrong.com.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to reach out to me via email, cell
Mhm.
phone,
Right.
407-733-8121. It's on the website. It's on my LinkedIn. So multiple ways there to get a hold of me. But
Right. Okay. And the when you say second win finish strong, it's actually you're spelling
it
that
it's all one word.
all one word and it's
Yeah.
second spelled out,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the number two kind of a thing.
Thank you.
Got it.
That's a good clarification. Yep.
Yeah, I mean we'll put it in the show note, but I just wanted to make sure for those it's actually the spelling second win finishstrong.com and the
Yep.
word second is spelled out. So all right. Well, great. Thank you for sharing that and for the free resource that you're offering for those. I'm jumping on those myself. So I'm going to grab those and learn from
Yeah.
you and get that little minute nugget, just enough to kind of, take every day in there. And you got 60 of them. So I got
Yep.
2 months supply or a little over 2 months.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you and for you taking the time. I know that this is a busy time of year and for you sharing with all of us here today. Thank you so much, Pete. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Velma. I appreciate all you're doing out there. And I am blessed also by the other podcasts. Leadership chats are wonderful.
Thank you.
And your LinkedIn posts are powerful. Love them. So thanks for all you're doing to help build valuable leaders out there. So I know
Oh,
I have been affected and blessed by
oh.
those posts also.
Well, thank you. My pleasure. Hey, thanks so much for watching another episode of Your Leadership Chat. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button here and tap that bell icon so that you never miss another episode. I hope too that you'll give us a thumbs up on the video for a like. And then if you feel led, please share the video with those who need to see it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Your Leadership Chat. Bye for now.